How do you stay true to yourself and still be sensitive to other people? And not controlled by others. Understand anything, you understand everything. Really, all this question is asking is, how can the wind blow and the reed bend with the wind and still stay rooted in the ground? Same principle. It's the same principle. You're rooted in your own essence. But what is your essence? Your essence is, of course, the unified field. But the unified field, they say it's transcendental. It's not touchable. It's the field of no thingness. The unified field is the field of pure consciousness before there was anything to become conscious of. It's the field of pure abstraction. Kind of like the probability clouds in physics, sort of like that. Before they've manifested, you see, they're just a probability, possibility, all possibility. So, the depth of your being is that, but you can't touch it. It's not concrete. But when it wells up through the different levels of your being, it radiates out and cascades out to different levels. And the question becomes, what level do you pick it up on? On the most superficial level, then, the self is what? Physical body. Physical, most superficial. On deeper levels, it becomes more of an electromagnetic phenomenon, more of a feeling thing, you see? And as you go deeper, deeper, those feelings become more refined. Deeper, deeper, deeper. And it's those radiations, you see, radiating up through your physiology, through your being. And your sensing of that, that's what we call soul. Soul isn't the transcendent, or you could say it is the transcendent, but it's not the transcendent isn't the part of the soul you can experience, because it's beyond experience. So it's the radiations of the unified field, of that one thing, welling up through your being that we refer to as soul. But it's not about thingness. It's not about concretion. So how do you stay true to your soul? How do you stay true to yourself? How would the question read? And still be sensitive to other people? There's nothing to cling to. It's not a thing. It's not a concretion. If you rest into your soul, whatever direction the winds blow, however the other person behaves, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Unless you are unable to rest in the abstraction of your own being. And see, that's not something you do intentionally. That's something, it's a quality of physiology. As your physiology integrates, as your physiology refines, it becomes spontaneous and natural to rest into your own being while still acting in the world. Still be rooted in the transcendent, but still act in the world. It's like a reed. When the wind blows, it stays rooted in the earth. Doesn't have to think about it. It's a nature of physiology. But yet people talk, things come up, and the wind blows, and it accommodates. But it accommodates the wind. It works with the wind. It interfaces with the wind. It interacts with the wind, but doesn't have to stay rigid. Doesn't fight the wind. You see? And so on a practical level, where we get into trouble is if somebody's trying to still use their words. You can be sensitive to the other person. And you feel what they're saying, and you respond to what they're saying, and you hear what they're saying, but it doesn't send you tumbling like tumbleweed. It keeps the reed rooted in the ground. And what does that look like on the surface? Well, sometimes it just looks like patience. I'd say it's like waiting for an end. If you're concerned about, if I have to be sensitive to the others. And if you're not resting in your being, you might, and if you're clinging to superficial thingnesses, you might think being sensitive to other people is just agreeing with them, abandoning yourself. And that's not true. That's not the way it is. That's why the Mona Lisa smile was so alluring, because she said nothing, but there was a place within her that you could see in that smile where she remained rooted in her own self, independent of the nature of whatever interaction might be going on or what might be going on in the room. You see? Being sensitive to other people, interestingly enough, has more to do with being awake to the divinity of your own being. We use the word divinity for the unified field. Being awake for that, to that place inside of you. And knowing it's not going to go away. Living that level of life where you're established in that. So if someone says something and it doesn't really line up with what you're thinking or something, it's not like a threat. Because you know full well that that resting place will still be there, and what happens on the surface doesn't matter. But if you see, it's a horrible way to live, to not be awake to that level. Someone says something and, it's not what you're believing, and what are you going to do? And to stay true to yourself. Yourself is that on that superficial level, so you have to, confront or betray yourself and lose yourself. Otherwise, you're not sensitive to the person, and it's just a big mess. So you want to understand life? Understand any one thing. Understand the plants. Understand the trees. Understand the reed established in the soil. Simple. It's simple. The nature of life is infinite flexibility. Everything's always changing, and you have to be flexible. But infinite rigidity. The reed, like the trunk of a tree, is always firmly established in the ground. So that's where paradox comes in. You see, all life is paradox. Everything is paradox. For everything you can say, there's an equally valid but contradictory statement. The universe is riddled with paradox. They talk about the cosmic joke. The cosmic joke is just the nature of existence. It's not a one-liner. It's the paradoxical nature of existence. And if you cling rigidly to one viewpoint, you're not embracing the nature of life. There are an infinite number of simultaneously valid but contradictory realities. Sometimes people want to think, there's one big Maha reality. No, you can say that, but it's not really right. It's more accurate to say we live in a reality continuum. You and I are one. You and I are separate. Two simultaneously valid but contradictory realities. Each level of existence has its own reality, its own laws of nature. And though they're a continuum, when you take quantum leaps along that continuum, they contradict. See? The root holds firm, the tips bend, flutter even. Contradiction. Which is it? It's both. It's the nature of life, you see.